It's Super Bowl week. It's finally here, and I have a player prop on Drake Maye. Will he throw an interception or not?
This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Monday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. And as always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network. We reached February. You know what that means. We have reached Super Bowl week. The Seahawks and Patriots coming up Sunday in Santa Clara for Super Bowl 60. We won't have the side or the total just yet. You have to wait till later in the week for that. But we do have a couple props for that game, also an NHL play and NBA play. So we have a lot to get to on this episode. And let's begin, Lee, with a couple of locks for Super Bowl week.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
You're looking at a couple of props. There's a ton of props out there to choose from for the Super Bowl, which makes it great. But Drake Maye of the Patriots and whether or not he'll throw an interception. Lee, what do you think about that?
Yeah, done a lot of homework over the weekend. We're about ready to release our top 15 prop plays. And one of them I'm looking at here is interceptions for quarterbacks. So Sam Darnold, minus 130 to minus 135. Will he throw an interception? Drake Maye, sitting at right around minus 120. And even though I think he's been really important to the team reaching the Super Bowl, obviously he's the quarterback, has not been great as the season has gone on. In fact, he's thrown 8 interceptions in the last 13 games. Might be the team also trailing here. The Legion, well, the new Legion of Boom here, they have intercepted little over 3% of the passes thrown against him. I love their secondary here. Better chance than not that, New England's trailing. Also, you might get a play right before the half where they just throw it up into the end zone or at the end of the game. Got to factor that in also. So I feel real confident about Drake Maye. Will he throw an interception in the game? Minus 120. That's going to be my first level 2 lock.
All right, so we'll see if that is the case coming up on Sunday if Drake Maye gets picked off again. And the second lock, Lee, involving the Seahawks and a lot of team props out there. So what do you like with them?
Yeah, so will Seattle convert a 4th down conversion here is minus 150. I think there's a better chance than not that they're not going to be trailing. And when you're not trailing, you're not going to go for many 4th downs. In fact, they haven't gone for near as many as New England and haven't been even close to as successful. I think they're sitting dead last in the NFL. New England converts 1.3 4th down conversions. Why? A little more of a gambling type of offense here. And if they're trailing, they're going to be better chance than not. They're going to be going for it on 4th down, maybe a couple times. So want to stay away from them. But Seattle at 0.4. That's right, 0.4% 4th down conversions here. So not even half of the time. So the odds are in your favor here. Let's say they've got the lead and they're up by, 3 or 4 points, or even if they're trailing by 3 or 4 points, unless it's within the last 5-6 minutes of the game, I don't see them going for a 4th down. They'll punt the ball and let their defense do their work. So I'm going to go, will Seattle convert a 4th down? We'll convert a 4th down conversion here. Minus 150. No. Level 1 lock.
All right. And we'll see if how the Seahawks handled that coming up on Sunday. And again, so many props you could choose from for the game if you're not comfortable with a side or a total, and just so many different ways you could play the game coming up on Sunday. So before we get to some more of the other picks, Lee, Thursdays, the NBA trade deadline, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously the biggest name. Looks like he's played his last game in Milwaukee, and we'll see where he ends up. We'll see where Ja Morant, if he ends up getting traded from the Grizzlies, 2 big stars. Any thoughts on where either of those players will end up?
Well, the rumor is that he's going or at least a good chance if you look at all the teams going to Golden State, who will trade 2 players, Jimmy Butler among one of them who's hurt and won't play until probably mid-season next year. But the main draw is the 4 first-round picks. Also in the mix is Miami. So I'm going to probably wait and see where he ends up and then look at the rosters if I'm going to make a bet from there going forward on any of the teams where he ends up or any of the other teams as far as their odds, the way they shift. So I'm going to wait on that. Ja Morant really doesn't matter much at all. He's hurt right now. I don't know if he's going to be much of a factor wherever he goes. His 3-point shooting percentage is way down, doesn't drive the ball as much the last couple years. Maybe helps out the right team if he's motivated, right situation. Been playing for a losing franchise. But other than that, doesn't seem like there's much out there. So those are the 2 guys we'll be looking at. Also, something else to look at. I'm not going to give a play on the total as far as the game, the Super Bowl game, till we see the weather. Now we're seeing weather might be a factor. Might be some rain. Not real cold at all, but, some rain. If you get a steady rain, could affect the total over or under the way these quarterbacks play. So we're going to wait a little bit, probably till at least Thursday on the total. Anyone telling you they have a lock on the total now, they're crazy. You don't know what the weather's like. If it's great, could affect it more, could affect the over. The under sometimes does affect the under.
All right, so we'll see how the weather turns out. We'll see what happens with Giannis. We probably won't know for the next few days on that, where he ends up on his next stop. So we're going to take a look now on the ice as we're going to take a look at Monday's Hidden Gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
And I do like tonight, Lee, first period play, the Detroit Red Wings around plus 150 at FanDuel, and they're in Colorado against the Avalanche. I like them in the opening period. This is a quick revenge spot for them. They just got shut out by the Avalanche at home, 5-0 on Saturday. So now the team's meeting in Denver tonight for a quick home and home. But a couple numbers here on the Red Wings. On the road, the last 14 games, they've trailed just twice through the opening 20 minutes, including 6 victories, so 6-2-6 in this span. They're off an 0-3 homestand, so I got to assume getting out of town is probably a good thing for them. Also, Colorado, they have the best record in the NHL, but they have not led through the first period in 4 consecutive home games. In the last 3 home games, they've scored just 1 goal in the opening 20 minutes. So we're going to look at the Red Wings tonight, plus 150, first period against the Avs. If it's a tie, then you get a refund, so it's fine as long as they don't trail. But we're going to take them in the first period as our NHL Hidden Gem.
I like it. I mean, with the odds there, if it was 120, 130, I wouldn't touch it either. But after, the way this game sets up here, after losing to them just a couple days ago, it sets up really well. They got to be motivated, and you got to think Colorado thinks, we're playing a team that we own here. So they might be caught napping in the first period.
Yeah, and we'll see how this one turns out tonight. A couple old rivals, again, a long time ago. And these teams fought every time they played in the playoffs, but now in different conferences. But still should be a good game tonight, a very loaded Monday in the NHL. Coming up, we have an NBA play between the Pelicans and the Hornets. Charlotte's been red hot. We're going to talk about that straight ahead. You are listening to the Monday edition of Locked On Bets. Let's talk now about FanDuel, because we now have reached that time. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. It's a sad time, but also it's a happy time as well, because you have one final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. Super Bowl 60 on Sunday, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Now, you have so many choices for this game. You have the favorite Seahawks, you have the underdog Patriots, you have a total on the game, you have many props you can choose from, player props, team props. You want to bet on the first quarter, the first half. You want to wait till the second half and see where it goes. Just so many different choices you have for this game coming up on Sunday, and the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from the opening kickoff all the way to the final whistle and the celebration. So if you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We continue Locked On Bets here on a Monday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. Only 4 games in the NBA tonight, and one of them involving the Charlotte Hornets, who caught fire. They're right outside the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference, but playing very well. So let's take a look now at our NBA blowout special.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
New Orleans, their first win of the season came against Charlotte way back earlier in the season. They were about 0-6 or so and beat Charlotte at home. So now the Hornets looking for some revenge, and the Hornets look, they're playing really well off a win over the Spurs on Saturday. So, Lee, what do you like here? The Hornets favored at home against the Pelicans.
Boy, the Hornets right now are red hot. They've won 6 straight. In fact, they're only a game and a half out of getting the playoff game and the play-in. So much improved team, 22-28. Also won 9 of the last 12 games. Concanipple, wow, I've been on fire. Couple games ago, 34 points here. Had a couple 20-point games the last 8-10 games. So he's a guy that off just a 13-point game in his last game might just totally heat up here. On the other side, New Orleans, 13-38. They are just absolutely horrific on the road, 5-19 here. Zion leads the team with 21.7 points per game, but really hasn't been a factor, not shooting as much of late. Derek Queen, 7.4 rebounds, but almost every major statistical category awful. 23rd in offense, 4th worst in defense here. Don't defend the arc at all here. 2nd worst at defending the 3-point shot. And as I mentioned, Charlotte absolutely on fire here. Defeated San Antonio for a big win on Saturday here. They ranked 10th in offensive efficiency. You think of them as having a bad defense. Not the case. They're kind of right in the middle there, allowing just 116 points per game, which is actually good this year in the NFL. So I think they want to send a message here to New Orleans and grab an easy win here. Line 6.5. Get on it now. This could end up closing at 7.5, 8 points here. We're going to go with a blowout special. Charlotte Hornets tonight move one step closer to maybe grabbing one of those play-in spots here in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, maybe stealing one from the Heat or Bulls or Hawks, who are mainstays in the play-in tournament in the Eastern Conference. Lee, now that we have turned the calendar to February, Super Bowl week is here. Obviously, still have NBA, college basketball, and NHL. But what's going on with Paramount Sports as far as getting ready for the Super Bowl?
Well, what a weekend we had. We had another UFC winning weekend. Had a win there, and I mean. I think we got to be like 75, 80% just on our free plays on the show here. So huge winner, winning card, 5-2 on our card. We've won 23 the last 29 cards there. We'll have another one this weekend. It'll probably come out on Wednesday, so look for that. Usually price them under $50, so it's affordable. Super Bowl week, you can get every single 15 top prop plays that I've got, plus my Super Bowl side. If you use coupon code SAVE50, just $97. We've won 6 of the last 7 Super Bowls, won 9 of the last 10 years on our player props. And hockey, doing well. College basketball, we hit a major wager best bet there released, had a 45-unit selection on a total. Wright State and Wisconsin Green Bay went over by 15 points. So check out all the different sports and the offers. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets, as well as the podcast version on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Type in Locked On Bets, and you'll find us there. We appreciate you tuning in to today's edition of the show. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers, and you are listening to Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.